If you're caring for someone with dementia, you are probably already wrestling with memory loss, spatial issues, and personality changes. But nothing prepares you for the moment when your loved one starts seeing things horrible, terrifying, really scary things that are completely real for them. In this video, I'm going to share sort of 3 categories, I guess, of the terrifying hallucinations my mom has experienced over time. And the one shift sort of how I look at this now and how I manage it better. Before we get into it though, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. My sister Pam and I, we are trying to share our journey and help as many people as we can along the way, because this is a isolating and heartbreaking and tough road. So the more we connect and the more people that share and comment, please comment, the better we all learn and can grow and help each other along the way. Also, get our free symptom tracker template. We've been using it for like over 3 years now, and it has helped us track so many different things and helps us really understand what the journey has been and where and what kind of decisions we should be making for her care. Just go to disruptdementia.com and get that baby. Again, like and subscribe and comment. So my mom's diagnosis, which we sort of eventually figured out, was Posterior Cortical Atrophy, which is PCA. It's a rare form of dementia. She also does show some threads of Lewy Body as well as your regular old Alzheimer's. Now, again, dementia is an umbrella. I do talk about that in a different video, which I've added the link in the description for that video about that. So dementia is overarching, and there are all these different types underneath it, and PCA is the one that shows up the most prevalently for my mom. And it kind of attacks the back of the brain. So this is like where sight is processed. So her eyesight was the biggest problem for her. And you can learn more about that in the other video that I will include in the description, where I talk about our journey around the eyesight stuff. So hallucinations became prevalent fairly early in the, I would say, when we started hitting that mid stage. It sort of started happening and continues to happen today, just very differently. So they're not just seeing something. It's not just a shadow that is out of place. It is like they see real things that are very real for them. They think that is actually there. That person is there. That thing is there. It's very real in their world. It's a complete manifestation, and as their brain sort of is misfiring and changing the world around them. But it is literally as real as me sitting here, like as you sitting where you are, the table that might be in front of you, the screen you're looking at. It is that real for them. And so for me, when this really hit was when she said to me, "Don't you see dead people in your room at night?" And we use a lot of humor in our journey because that's just how we are. And I said, no. No, ma'am, I do not. Because that question really, it was a big shock for me. I didn't even know. I felt like I was in that movie with Bruce Willis, like, you know, she sees dead people, and I was like, what is happening right now? She's that kid. What's going on? So it was a strange moment, but it was also the moment that I realized more was happening than just some of the things we had already seen. The scary things are the scariest part. So like this category is the hardest and scariest part because, again, this feels very real for her. So her worst episodes were when a man would come into her room and he wanted to kill her. And she would hide under the covers, and he would come up to her, the side of her bed. And I said, "Does he talk to you? Does he say anything?" "No, but he wants to kill me." Like, she was like adamant. He wants to murder me. And I said, like, "Is it the same guy?" And it wasn't anyone she recognized. And she also said it would be different men. So there you go. And also there would just be people, like a lot of people, not like 2 or 3. Like, I mean, people just walking around her room, like 10, 20 people, like just walking around. She would also see creepy little people that would only go up to her thigh. She said, I don't like the creepy ones, creepy little ones. Literally absolutely terrifying. In the bathroom, she was like, there's people in the bathroom. I can't go in there. Now, this wasn't as scary. It was daytime, so it wasn't as scary, but she thought there were people in the bathroom. And I said, well, let me go look. And I looked and I said, hey, you get out of here. We need you as a bathroom. One of the things is that you sort of become like this protector, right, of these imaginary fears, I guess. So you have to make sure that they're okay, right? So it's like you validate the feeling and validate that what she sees is very real for her. So instead of saying like, what are you, crazy? There's nothing here. No, you lie. That's what you do. You lie. You turn the lights on, let her see the world again with clear eyes. And also bring the dog. If you have a dog, my mom loved my dog, so I would bring Buffy in the room, and that would always make her feel a lot better when the dog was with her. And also there were hallucinations around Buffy. So we came home one day and she said, Buffy, Buffy, come see me. Where are you? Buffy, Buffy. And then she said, oh, there you are. And she's looking at the top of the stairs. Buffy's looking down at her. At least that's what she saw. I looked, there's nothing. Buffy's not there. So I went upstairs and I found Buffy on my bed, completely asleep. She's a Boston Terrier. If you know anything about Boston Terriers, you know that when they're sleeping, they're snoring. And she was out cold. So definitely wasn't Buffy. But I just kind of brought Buffy out and said, oh, here she is, and just kind of moved on with it. It is what it is. She also one night said, where's the dog? Where's the other dog? And I said, Buffy? And she said, no, not Buffy, the other dog. There was no other dog. My sister does have another dog. And I said, do you mean Dexter? And she said, no. And I was like, okay, what dog is she talking about? So I started naming all the dogs we've had in our life. Do you mean Pepper? Do you mean Chemo? Do you mean Josie? Do you mean Piper? And she was like, no. The dog was in a cage in my room. It was in the cage in my room. There is no cage in her room, but she was running around looking for this dog, like in my room, in the bathroom. I was like, there's no. And then I was like, okay, what do I do here? So I said, oh, I think they left. I think the dog left, so it's gone now. So, but I've got Buffy. Here's Buffy again. Buffy's the savior. So here's Buffy. Another time we were driving and she went, and I said, what happened? And she said, nothing. And I said, why? Did you see something? And she said, well, yeah. And I said, it's okay. You can tell me because I just wasn't looking. I'm sure it was there. It's just I didn't see it. Right? Again, lie. We're lying. And she said, oh, it was a dark animal over there. And I said, oh, it was probably a raccoon. It's time for raccoons. And she said, oh, okay. Like just accepted that that's true. The final third category will be the sensory thing. So where her brain is messing with her and with auditory and things like that. So she would hear like a blood-curdling scream, a woman screaming in the house. She would hear whispers underneath her bed. And she said that she would get up and walk around and try to find them, and then the whispering would stop, which none of that is true. Like she did not get up. She did not search that room like that. None of that happened. I walked by her room and she was going, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And I said, what's happening? And so she was in her bed, but kind of leaning up and looking at her pillow. And she said, you just sent me a message. And I said, oh, what did it say? She goes, I can't remember and I can't read it anymore. It's gone. But what did I do? What did I do wrong? So instead of saying, what are you talking about? Your pillow can't have a message. I said, oh, sorry. I meant to send that to Dad. It has nothing to do with you. I sent it to the wrong person. Ignore it. You're perfect. Don't even worry about it. And she accepted that as truth and was fine. The biggest shift for me, though, was letting go of forcing her to live in my reality, to live in this world. Instead, I accepted that there's another world and she's living in that world. And I have to live in that world. That's my job. She no longer can understand this world, but I am capable of lying and playing make-believe and living in her world. So that's what I do. That's what my sister does. That's what we both do. And so we lie. Instead of saying, what are you talking about? That's not true. There's nobody here. You're crazy. No, you just say, there was a man in here. Let me go. I'm going to chase him out of here. Let me get him out of here. Oh, he's locked the door. He's gone. Not coming back. Got rid of him. Safe, right? When you realize that what they see is super real for them. Like, you stop correcting, right? You stop realizing that correcting isn't going to work. Correcting is not going to work. You cannot win against this disease. You're never going to. So stop correcting and start comforting, I guess, or start lying, as I like to say. It works. Again, before you go, definitely comment below. Let me know if you relate to any of this. What kind of hallucinations have you seen? Love to hear about it. We probably have other ones. Well, we have lots, so we probably have more that we can relate to. And also, of course, get that tool, the free tracker at disruptdementia.com, where you can, of course, track all those symptoms. And again, it's really great for the doctor's office. You can say, like, since we saw you last, she's had 7 falls, and this is what happened, and this is why, and whatever. So you have everything ready to go all the time, and helps you make those decisions for the next part of the journey. So that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.